hands-on demo. I'm not an expert on Drupal Commerce. I'm a software developer who uses it. There's actually some great presentations by Ryan from the Commerce guys and some other people that give a better overview of everything. So if you're interested, I would encourage you to go check those out after this. So I'm just going to hit high level. After the Drupal Commerce overview, we're going to look at Commerce Kickstart. And then after that, I'll talk about allplayers.com and how we use Drupal Commerce. And at the end, I'll leave some time for us to ask questions. So what is Drupal Commerce? Drupal Commerce is not a direct replacement for Ubercart. It's sort of a different model. It was designed from the beginning to be a framework within Drupal and not necessarily a standalone e-commerce solution. So Drupal Commerce is the important parts you need for an e-commerce site, but it is not necessarily all the glue and all the polish you need for a full-featured e-commerce site. Ubercart kind of comes out of the box ready to work for a certain workflow, which is usually real products that may or may not have shipping, fixed price. That's kind of how things work by default. And when you get out of Ubercart's model, you're going off on your own a little bit. Drupal Commerce is kind of the reverse of that, where if you just downloaded Drupal 7 and installed Drupal Commerce and turned it on, you would not have much. It would not be clear to you how to sell products unless you read some documentation, dove into the module, and learned a little bit. That said, that was intentional. What they wanted to be was more flexible. They wanted to have no preconceived notions, or as few as possible. And the other thing is they wanted to be more Drupal. So Commerce uses rules. It uses the entities, which are new to Drupal 7, which Ubercart didn't have the luxury of using. It uses views. It integrates well with panels and some other modules. So a lot of things that were hard-coded in Ubercart or were custom theme renders, or Ubercart had the whole conditional action system. Those are replaced with things that people who've been around Drupal for a long time are probably already familiar with. To be fair to Ubercart, I have not used the 7x version of it, so if I'm being unfair to it, I don't mean to be. That's not my intention. The next thing I want to talk about is Commerce Kickstart. Now, Commerce Kickstart is some example glue for you to check out. Commerce Kickstart is a Drupal installation profile, which a Drupal installation profile is basically a make file, which describes what the modules are that are included with it, and some glue code and maybe some custom modules and custom themes that basically, when you download that, if you download it from Drupal.org, you get a pre-made Drupal site that's already built. But if you're actually developing an installation profile, it's pretty cool. You're actually just describing your Drupal site in a flat file, describing all the modules you depend on. And you use a tool called drushmake to build it. Is anyone familiar with drushmake? 3 people? 4 people? All right, all right. So drushmake is pretty cool, but it's a command line tool. It's kind of a different model if you're more used to just downloading things and saving them to your web server. Drushmake is a much more structured model, but when you're working with a lot of developers, or when you get to the point of sharing things out on the web with people you don't even necessarily work with, it's a lot more pleasant experience. So Commerce Kickstart, it's an example of how you could put a Drupal Commerce site together. Commerce Kickstart 2, I want to put a plug in before I go and show Commerce Kickstart. Commerce Kickstart 2 is in Alpha 2 right now. And I was playing with it over the weekend. It is really impressive, and I was planning to show it here. But today, it would not run at all. I cleared cache, the theme crapped out, and then I couldn't reinstall it. So it's in Alpha 2 for a reason. But it's very impressive. It comes with a very impressive theme. It uses a lot more contrib modules, and it really shows off how you can throw things together like view slideshow and some great JavaScript views filters and taxonomies and some really good, nice theming. How you can throw that together without a lot of dev work and build an impressive e-commerce site. With that said, I'm going to show Commerce Kickstart 1. And the first thing I'm going to do to make this a little more interesting is I'm just going to delete my database. Since many of us aren't familiar with installation profiles and we're not familiar with Drupal Commerce that much, I figured it would be good to see it from scratch. And it's gone. All right, let me. Yeah, do not try this at home. Do not try this with your live site, please. Let's see. So all I'm doing right now is resetting my settings file so that I can reinstall the site. And I'll go back to my web browser. And this is the site I just deleted. It's gone. And we'll go to install.php. So right off the top, you see these are installation profiles. Drupal 7 and newer comes with installation profiles, comes with 2 out of the box. And Commerce Kickstart is just another installation profile. So if you have a Drupal setup and you drop an install profile in it, it'll show up there in the installer. Now I'm just going to put in my database credentials. Do not use root at home.
Use it at home, nowhere else.
Yeah, use root at home. Do not use root on a web accessible MySQL server. And so now, like I was saying, it comes with a bunch of contrib modules, custom modules, and the Drupal installer is actually installing them for you right now. You don't have to dive into the site right away and think, well, do I need this module? Do I need that module? It's going to give you some basic building blocks right out of the gate and actually configure them for you using the features module. And then it actually uses, I forget the name of the module, it uses another module to provide you some default content. Do you remember the name, Travis? I think you've, just put you on the spot there. I thought you demoed it.
No,
you know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about, but I just forgot.
It's not Devel.
It's not Devel, no. Yeah. All right. My email is glenn@allplayers.com. Admin. I guarantee you that is not a good password, but. Yes, it is 1, 2, 3 testing. Very good.
I know you, Glenn.
Also not to do on your own server. All right, this is the module I'm talking about. Again, I don't know the name of it, but it creates example content for you. It's great if you're building your own install profile and you want to, include some content to show it off. So, Alan, I think this is your cue right here.
Oh, about how ugly it is?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, it's ugly. This is where Commerce Kickstart 2 is radically different. Commerce Kickstart 2, I believe, is based on an Omega theme, and they got some stock photography and polished it up and made it look beautiful. Commerce Kickstart 1 does not include a custom theme, and it's ugly. Sorry. So you can see it comes out of the box with 3 products set up. Kind of right out of the gate, you can see that these are just nodes, and you can edit them like you would any other node. Now, what makes these nodes special is they have a product reference field, which references a product entity. So instead of the product being a custom piece of content, it's actually an entity that can be referenced by a display node. Now, you might be wondering, why would I want a display node and a product? There's actually a bunch of reasons for it. The first and foremost is, a lot of times when you're selling products, you actually have many different versions of a product, but you don't really want to have 20 different pages on your site for every version of that product. That's one of the primary reasons. Some other reasons are, sometimes you have things like donations that don't need a distinct product display page. They don't even need a display page at all. They just live in your system and are referenced by other means or custom code or something like that. So to show you how Drupal it is, I'll just show you how to create a view, for example. I can just jump in here and add a new view and say my products. Say I want to have a page of product displays, and I want it to be a grid, and I don't know. That sounds good to me. And right there, we have a new display products. Of course, you could add images to that, and you would have a pretty standard shopping cart style display. If I go ahead and add this to my cart, so that was kind of a simple one. If I go ahead and add this to my cart, you can see product 1 was added to my cart, but it didn't take me to my cart. Now, most people would probably want to go to their cart when you add things to your cart. It might depend on the site. Now, you do have a block there if you want to check out. It depends on the site. All right, I won't say most people. Some people would like to go to your cart when you check out. So that's where the rules module comes into play. If I come in,
Keep shopping.
what's that?
Keep shopping.
Yeah, so some people would have the model of going to your cart and having a keep shopping button. Some people would have take you to a search page and let you keep looking for more stuff to buy. So if I drop down here in the rules module, I can see I have a rule named display and add to cart message. If I click edit on this rule, I can add an action to it and say page redirect, and I'll say redirect to cart. I won't force it in case some other module wants to hook in and redirect. I'll save that. Go to my front page and add product 2 to my cart.
Maybe.
There we go. All right. The gerbil was running on his wheel. So just like that, I didn't write any code to do it. And as you saw, there were many rules in there. So a lot of Commerce is already wired up with rules for you in Commerce Kickstart, and you're free to change those and remake it how you see fit. And a lot of it you can do without writing any custom code. So back to the views front. If you look at has anyone tried to edit the shopping cart panes in Ubercart?
Yes.
Okay. Was it pleasant?
No.
Okay. Just checking. All right. So shopping cart is a view. If I don't want a quantity on my shopping cart, it's that easy. It's gone. Many other pieces of it are views, and then you can also, of course, build your own to extend it. Let's see. What else can we talk about? The checkout panes. If you go to your store configuration, and check out your checkout settings, you can actually rearrange, just using a drag and drop system, what panes show up on which page of checkout. So if you want a one-page checkout, you can actually do that just by dropping the most important pages. Now, if you have offsite payment, you can't have one-page checkout. But if you're using on-site checkout, drop all your panes on one page. Check out. Oh, bummer. I should have dropped them on the first page. Sorry. Let's try that.
I would consider that a bug.
Yeah. You don't want to cause redirect loops either, though. We've been there.
Yeah, I do.
All right. There we go. Poof. One-page checkout. This is the example checkout module, or the example payment module, and all it requires you to do is type something to pay.
Indeed.
Very exciting. I'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big town.
Maybe he's out in the country and you're doing from the center of town, the 911. They got that fixed too. Portland.
There you go. That's one-page checkout. All right, so now what I wanted to do is show a little bit of the product variations I talked about earlier. I was shopping for a car recently, so I have cars on the mind, so I thought that would be a decent example. Now, I bought a little economy minivan, so I don't know if you're car guys here. This isn't going to be that exciting unless you want to talk me into using a different car. I did buy a camera recently as well too.
Took me about 3 days altogether.
So let's see what I have here. Pardon me while I. So there's some extra modules. Like I said, Commerce is a framework. It doesn't come with all the glue, and there's some modules that make a lot of sense to some people and some that don't. The first module that's interesting if you're selling products, if you're selling a lot of products, you're selling products with complicated attributes, is Commerce bulk product creation. I'm going to enable that with Drush. Most people would go to the modules page and check the box.
Is that a part of the distribution, Kickstart distribution?
No, it is not. You would have to download it. None of them. Yeah, none of the modules I manually enable are part of the distribution. I've added them. I baked them in advance.
If you use Drush, it's really simple. You just
Drush.
downloads it for you, enables it for you.
Drush DL module name, and then Drush EN module name, and that's all you got to do. Okay, so first of all, let's make a product for cars, because cars are kind of unique. We're not going to use a generic product to sell a car. So if I go to the Products tab in Commerce, click on Product Types, add a new product. What is a car? So this will be a car model. And a specific model of car. And we'll go ahead and add fields to it. So, is anyone familiar with entities? A little bit? All right. Are you guys familiar with nodes in CCK? Yeah? Okay. So, entities in Drupal 7 are kind of like, they're not that dissimilar from nodes in CCK and Drupal 6, but they don't necessarily have a display. They don't necessarily have a body. They are more freeform. But fieldable entities, you can drag and drop fields on it on a display that is very similar to what you're used to with CCK. But these are not nodes. There's not necessarily a page you can go to even see it. It depends on who built the entity, if they built some views for you to look into it. Yeah, it's kind of like you're talking about an object in programming. Yeah, it's kind of like a more generic object. It doesn't have as much baggage as a node. It's stored in, each different entity type is stored in its own table. So what a car needs a trim level. Let's say, so just make a field called trim, and I will make it.
Your first attribute of a car is something I know nothing about.
Yeah, I know. That's what
What's your oh, you want me to put make, don't you? Do you want me to put make?
It's like, what is trim level?
All right, I'll put make. Sheesh.
It just shows you value different things in a car than he does.
Yeah. So what is trim level?
Like, what brand of car do you have?
EX.
You have a Silverado LT or a Mazdas are Sport Touring and Grand Touring.
A little wing on the back.
Some trim package, trim level, whatever.
I have a 96 Chevy, so obviously I haven't been car shopping in a while. No, but you got a red display. That's what matters to me. That's why
Yeah.
priorities lie.
Yeah, you could probably buy about 10 of those for the price of a car, so you just surround yourself in them.
They won't get you from point A to point B, though.
Can't ride on it? Dang it. Okay, so I added make, even though I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it's in there. All right, so we're going to do the trim level. I'm going to do a trim level as a list. And I'll do it as checkboxes.
I think we call those options, actually, right?
Options are usually one off. Trim level is usually a set of options, and it may allow you to get other options. Here, I can show you if I have internet access. So I was looking at a Mazda 5. Look at all this. Look at it in all its glory, and its sliding doors, and it's.
You get one?
Yeah. It's a mini minivan. It's pretty exciting. There you go. This is a 3 blown up a little bit. So just to show you that I'm not making up trim level.
Select this trim.
There you go. You got select this trim exactly. You got the Sport, the Touring, and the Grand Touring. How exciting! Yeah.
Tickets do you have?
Right now 1, but we're planning.
Because there's no other way you would be showing us the screen.
If I didn't have kids, right, exactly. I have 1 kid, starting foster training, and planning on adding. Okay, so we got the trim level, and so the allowed values for the trim level are Sport, Touring, and Grand Touring. So imagine if you had a bunch of different similar products. What you'd end up here is all the possible trim levels for your similar products. It may not be all the trim levels for one car. It would be the attributes for your similar products. Some products, of course, you couldn't do a list, so you would probably just do a field and enter a specific value for each product.
Question?
Yes?
Can you give me a reason why you would ever want to do that instead of doing vocabulary? You've got so much baked in vocabularies.
I can show you, but it's possible that a vocabulary could be integrated to do what I'm about to show you.
Right.
I know that it is. I just didn't do it that way.
Okay. So it just seems vocabularies are so flexible and they're built in that I'm kind of at a loss.
Well, one of the distinctions about vocabularies is the values are usually site-wide.
Right.
Now, it depends on your situation. You may want product-specific values that aren't shared.
Okay.
It's not a big deal either way. You can do free tagging. To be honest, I just didn't do it that way.
Okay.
That's all I got. So what I'm going to do is enable this field as an attribute field on the Add to Cart forms. And you'll see why that's interesting later. And I'll do radio buttons. And we'll make it a required field as well. So you can't buy a car with no trim package.
Is that hitting your local machine or is it hitting the network?
It's hitting my local machine, but it's not happy. Oh, desktop presenter is using 95% of my CPU.
He didn't tell you it was a CPU hog.
Okay, good to know. Let's see. So trim and let's see, color, exterior color. Some people would like a choice on that. And we'll also make that a text list. And we'll do checkboxes again. And you guys are going to be excited. I had to actually had to run this list through PHP real quick to clean it up because it was all caps, and I just can't stand all caps. If I can find it.
Gosh,
I know.
the resolution isn't big enough to hold all the tabs you got.
I know. There it is. Right there. There's my list of non-all caps colors. All right.
Crystal white, pearl white.
Yeah, it's a very complicated way of saying white.
Okay.
That's like more
It's actually $100 extra for that color, or $200 extra for that color.
salmon shirt.
Yeah. So we also require a color. You can't have a clear car. And we also want to require you to pick this to add it to your cart, and we'll also do radio buttons. None of that. You don't have to do radio buttons, but. Does anyone have any questions so far? Good? Okay. All right, and the other thing I'll add is an image. I'll just use an existing image field. Add available. That's all good. Okay, so now this is where the bulk add products comes in. Because I added those attributes to the car, I can actually really quickly generate all the products that might be possible based on those attributes. This time I'll generate all of them. And the reason, you may not always want a separate SKU for every attribute. It just depends. You don't have to. You can actually add line item fields instead of adding product fields if you want to customize a specific line item. But when you customize a product, you usually want to have separate products, and what you'll have is a unique SKU on each one of those products. So if you have physical products in a warehouse and each one has a distinct SKU, you probably want a distinct product on your commerce installation. And you could have one distinct display node for, so you have a small, medium, large t-shirt. Most people would have distinct SKUs for those. So you have a distinct product for each SKU, and one display node that just has a drop-down list that says pick your size. And that way you can have separate information about the small, medium, large, separate dimensions. You can have a different picture for the small, medium, large, that kind of thing. So bulk product creation lets me kind of pre-generate the form. So I'll say Mazda 5 is my SKU. I'm sure that's the one they really use. Starts at something like 18 or
180,000.
19. What? Oh. Yeah, that's what I drive.
Yeah, somebody liked that one. So
Mazda 5.
Yeah, but it comes with a retina nav screen.
yeah, no joke.
And I'll choose a default image, with just the base black one. And the static value for make is Mazda, so that'll populate that for me since Travis told me trim level was not common.
Is that creating entities or no?
This is creating entities. And what we'll do at the end is, and this is one thing that's not very streamlined, which I think they will streamline in this module. Creating the display node for this. So I'm going to hit create here, and it's going to create 18 products. But what it's not going to do is give you a way to sell those products. Until you have a display node, no one's going to see them. So see, it says successfully created 18 new products. So it created every permutation of trim and color. So I create a new display page for my Mazda 5. And I say...
On that generate button, it said create products and display.
And it took me to the node add form.
Ah.
So it's not perfect. It would be nice if it filled this field out for me. And actually, Alan gave me a... I didn't think to do it, but Alan gave me an idea to make this less unpleasant, which is to change that autocomplete form. Depends on what kind of products you have, but change that autocomplete form there to a select list. And then I won't have to keep typing. So now, if I refresh this guy, I have my Mazda 5. Then I can just hold Shift and get them all. So now I am adding all the possible product variations to my display node. And what's interesting about this is Commerce, using that Commerce product reference field, is actually going to interrogate all the products you put in it and then kind of summarize what's possible. So if you come down here and look, I can actually pick the different permutations right out of the box. And it actually updates it via Ajax. Now you can't see it because I just put in one default picture, but if I come here to products, store, products, and let's say, let's do Grand Touring in red. If I edit that Grand Touring in red, I can remove that image and oh, I don't have Grand Touring in red. Yeah, that's a Touring though. I don't know.
It does get the point.
When did you buy the Grand Touring?
I bought the Grand Touring.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Is it red?
No, it's black.
So if you had 1,000 images you had to upload, how would you approach that problem?
If you had 1,000 images you had to upload.
You wanted to end up with a file ID.
So I believe there's actually the migrate module, and there's some other bulk modules that are designed for doing more raw bulk imports. This is more for a bulk. This is really more for quickly setting up product variations. When you're doing a mass import, you might need a little bit of custom code, and feeds import would be that would be a good way to do it. So if I go back here and change to copper red mica, you see the image updated automatically via Ajax. I didn't have to write any code to do that. Very exciting.
What module makes that pop?
Commerce. So the Commerce product reference does that. So this entire thing is called the Commerce Add to Cart widget. It's actually a little form that you can put on views. You can put on. This is a display node. You can put them all. You can put them all sorts of places, and you can configure what fields are required for you to add something to your cart. A real common thing to do with this is to put a donation value on your add to cart form. So if you had a donation type of product, you would say, my donation product is going to require a donation field, and show that on the add to cart form for donation products. And then you would just have a dollar amount to type in. All right, so I'm going to add this to my cart. But what am I missing if I was really buying a car? Well, I do have a price, actually. It's $19,000. But what am I missing from that price? Tax and shipping. Yes. So tax actually comes right out of the box with Yeah. I will get the destination fee in here. Don't you worry. Tax comes out of the box. So I'm just going to come over here and go to my store configuration and go to taxes. Taxes are also rules. So any conditions you can think of with rules, you can use those conditions to apply taxes. You can do some advanced stuff like look at geocoding to say, oh, they're in Texas. We're going to assume they need this tax rate. Also, not so important for you guys, but they support VAT-style tax, so value-added taxes are displayed at the line item. So when you buy something in Europe, usually you see the price including the tax. Buy things in the US, you don't see the price including the tax. Right. When you see MSRP, there's no tax in it. So those have totally different ways of displaying, but Commerce has abstracted that from you, and you just get to say, my tax is a VAT-style tax. My tax is a US-style tax. So the tax rate for cars, for new cars in Texas, is a flat 6 1/4. Someone have it? Yeah? All right, so TX, vehicle, I guess it would be, whatever. Good enough. And one thing, this rate, it's a rate. Don't type in a percentage there. Type in 0.0625, otherwise you'll make a really expensive car. Here's where I was talking about sales tax or VAT. We do sales tax. So I save that, and once this overlay goes away, Commerce will actually recalculate. I may have to close the next one, but Commerce will actually recalculate that for me right away using the new tax rules. Oh, sorry, I did it over here. Hamster. Okay, sorry. Tax is not on that screen. Tax is on this screen. There you go. Now, that destination charge. Someone had a destination charge. So, shipping does not come out of the box, but we've got Commerce Shipping to the rescue. So, before we started here, I downloaded Commerce Shipping, and now I'll just enable Commerce Shipping UI, and Commerce Shipping example. So shipping is a little more complicated than you might think. It's similar to payment gateways. Flat rate shipping you can do with Commerce Shipping example, but a lot of people are doing like FedEx or UPS. Those are separate modules that may tie into their API to get shipping rates based on dimensions and weight, that sort of thing.
Wonder if UPS would do a car.
For the right price. Yeah. My parents bought my daughter a little rocking chair this big for like $30 and tried to ship it to us, and it was going to be $250 to ship it. Well, exactly. Had they known that it was going to cost them that much to ship it, they would have gone to Amazon, which makes you wonder, what has Amazon done?
There's some kind of deal going on.
What kind of shady backroom scheme allows that to happen? All right, so now that we have the shipping UI available, if I come back to store,
Been living on Amazon, so I really appreciate it.
I know. It's so nice having your toilet paper come to your front door.
do you have your toilet paper shipped next day?
No.
Aw. So if I
Or like within the next 2 minutes.
if I just enable
Right.
Oh crap. Get it by Tuesday. Smack the Drupal Commerce.
Yeah.
so I happen to know that Mazda charges $795 for destination fee. Does that sound cooler, destination fee?
Regardless of the destination.
Regardless of the destination, yeah.
It's pretty cool.
North America.
Yeah, North America. Yeah, you don't get out of it just because you like.
We like
Drove to your car.
US, right? Not
You get-
Alaska and Hawaii.
Yeah, I don't know what they charge there. So I'll save that flat rate. So this is literally a flat rate, not a flat percentage. And go back to my shipping methods.
Basically, now the rules just drop it off
This is another rules. Yeah, this is another system for creating and editing rules.
You could do this to add on 3 other kinds of extra charges. Pretty much the same process.
And, oh no. What do I do here?
Exactly. There's no event. Doesn't need an event.
I didn't think it needed an event, but I will add one.
Select available. Oh.
I'm going to do it, let's see. Let's do it.
Remove it and then re-add it.
Yeah, let's do it after the item is added to cart. I thought I didn't need. Maybe because I messed with the checkout panes, but sorry, we're learning here.
What OS is that?
Hmm?
What OS is that? What version of the operating system?
Oh, line. And actually, add to cart doesn't necessarily make sense because it. Oh well. Check out.
I think it said on one of the. Oh, that didn't change this. It says when you select it, it should change the order. That was the events, at least.
I've got an idea here. Do-
Oh, you think you found a bug?
No, all right, well. It worked earlier.
Yeah. That is, what was the problem?
I may need to go read the documentation, so
What is
I apologize for that.
presentation without technical difficulties?
Right.
Fiddling around with rules is left as an exercise.
Yes. An exercise for the reader. Oh, express delivery costs twice the normal amount. I hope you work. Hey, there we go. And it is express. It is double the cost. All right. So splitting it up to one-page checkout didn't appear to work with the example shipping module. All right. I'll pay for it. Here, I'll give you an example of setting up a payment gateway. Real easy one to set up is Commerce AuthNet.
Does it work with selected gateways, or can you add any random gateways?
Well, a module has to be written to support Commerce. They're not that hard to write, actually, but Authorize.net, PayPal, a lot of your big ones are done.
Authorize.net is not the cheapest one.
It's not the cheapest one. PayPal's not the cheapest one either. We actually use a local company called JetPay, and we've developed a payment gateway for part of their platform, and we're working on expanding to do recurring and a bunch of other things on their platform. I might get a moment to talk about that later.
Can you search those modules on Drupal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you go to drupalcommerce.org, they have organized a little bit of this information for you, so you don't have to just go on drupal.org and hope. Let's see. Trying to remember where it is, though. I think it's in documentation. User guide. Processing payments. Yeah, the examples they have here, direct payment methods is going to include, no. Nope, that's not complete.
So, no, it's time to go home.
Why can't I edit this?
I don't know. I hope that guy figured out how to edit that page. But, all right. Google Commerce payment gateways, there is a fair number of them out there. I could have sworn there was a nice page. Oh, here's an FAQ page on DrupalCommerce.org. Authorize.net, CyberSource, First Data, SagePay, Celio from Brazil, or Celo. These are all redirect payment forms. There's definitely an interesting trade-off between redirect forms and on-site forms. I think arguably redirect payment forms kind of shield you from some PCI and credit card data concerns. But the user experience is usually a little different because people end up going off your site and seeing PayPal. Yeah, and PayPal, might try and capture you on their site and get you to do something that PayPal wants you to do instead of going back to the store you started on. It does support bank transfer. We actually, JetPay, which I was talking about earlier, is actually an interesting mix of redirect and it appears to be an on-site module, but it's actually a redirect module. You never see JetPay, but we also never receive credit card details. The user actually submits a form to JetPay. JetPay immediately redirects them back to their site, and the user never actually sees a JetPay page. So it's kind of a nice mix. So we don't have to worry about storing credit card data or it even being on our servers for even a split second. But we also don't have to worry about our customers getting lost on a third-party payment gateway.
Is there a coupon module or like a discount module?
Yeah, there are coupon modules. There is a discount module that is based around rules. If I had more time, I would have prepared something to show you, but I haven't. But that's actually something we're just getting into at All Players.
I think I missed something on that JetPay. They enter in the credit card on the Drupal.
A client enters in a credit card on a form rendered on the Drupal site, but the form action actually goes to the payment gateway, which is it uses secure token and a signature, and submits that form directly to the payment gateway. Payment gateway responds with a redirect back to our site. If they accepted it, it sends it to a success page on our site, and if they decline it, it sends them to a decline page on our site. The user experience, unless they're carefully watching what their browser is doing over the network, the user experience is they stayed on our site.
Right, but you still have PCI.
Right, we are arguably shielded from PCI compliance. What's that?
I don't think you know. I could be wrong, but I don't think you are. If you enter in the form on the Drupal site or on your site, as soon as they do that, someone hacked. There's a bunch of ways.
But the form never goes to our site.
Yeah, the form never sends it to our site.
You
It's
put the form up and the form is submitted to them.
And it's
Yeah, but we don't even get the request for the form submission.
the form action. When you define a form, you can define the URL action. So the form is rendered, and it's secured by us.
And obviously you're writing to their spec.
Yes, I'm writing to their documentation.
Right.
Obviously, I'm not a lawyer, so
But the theme is, that's very cool.
yeah. So they never see the payment gateway site, but they also never send us their credit card information.
Support recurring as well.
They do support recurring, but not through that system. But you do get a token from that system that would allow you to later use recurring. So you have to actually get into their XML API to hit their tokens. But your response from using this system, which is called JetPay JetDirect, your response includes a token which will allow you to go later and make additional debits on their credit card.
Can't tell. He was the one that wrote the integration.
Yeah.
So what was I doing? I was setting up authorize.net. Authorize.net is, the bog standard every commerce solution has to include. So again, if you may see a theme here, payment gateways are also rules. And my hamsters are dying, but I will show them to you. I clicked on the wrong one, sorry.
That guy got through those guinea pigs in a row.
Row! Row!
Do you know if it does currency conversion? Other ways to do currency?
There are, yeah, so are you talking about like, not out of the box. I think there are modules to do, like you're talking about the currency rate, right?
Well,
The exchange rate.
The problem I have is that on my website, 50% of my customers come from outside of the United States. I don't know where they come from. They have their own currency.
Mm-hmm.
And when I advertise the price in USD, they have to do their own conversions. A lot of them think, say, oh, how much does it cost in pesos? And, I don't know.
And you want?
There's a module that could just, and I know currency changes 3 times a day.
Yeah. So that's
Very accurate.
that's the trick with foreign exchange is you're going to have a module, and you may have to pay a little bit of money to get those rates. Maybe not. If you want them to be super accurate, you may. That will convert it for you. That said, Commerce is real flexible about how it stores pricing values.
Gateway does that, and they have their own rates.
So the gateway, you send them US dollars,
Exactly.
but your client sends them pesos, they do it for you. Yeah.
And then they charge me, the merchant, a conversion rate, which
Right.
is fine. But for customers to know how much it costs in their own currency
Yeah.
before they have to.
So the complexity there with using the gateway like that, though, is you probably want to know what your gateway's exchange rate is. But I do know there are modules to make this, or it's built to make this
If
possible.
it's not accurate, like a table lookup,
You're saying if it's not 100% accurate, you're okay with that?
yeah, I mean, I could
Okay.
just always put a blurb saying,
It might work out to a cent different on your card. We process in US dollars. Your actual charge may be slightly different.
exactly.
So I'm going to set up these keys are not valuable to anyone. Do whatever you like, because they're a developer test keys.
3 cars will show up at your house.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to be funding terrorism tomorrow. Way to go, guys. And that happens. If you run big transactions, you will probably start getting requests from the FBI or the Department of Homeland Security. Yeah, asking. So, so it hasn't happened in a while, but we did used to get requests saying, describe this order, describe this order, describe this order.
AK-47.
Yep. You guys, I'm on tape here. Come on.
You guys understand what this stuff is for?
Oh, just go back to the last page already. Enable, confirm. So now I have the example payment gateway, which is not a gateway you want to use since all your customers have to do is type 2 letters. And authorize.net setup, and you'll be able to see you can, Commerce will actually pick from the rules that you defined. Now what's really interesting about that is you can actually add conditions to those rules. I didn't add any conditions here, so they'll all show up. But I could say orders over $10 can use authorize.net. Orders in the US can use authorize.net. Orders in the UK can use SagePay. So you can get really fancy with your rule configuration here. What we've done at All Players is we actually use, anyone heard of organic groups? Anyone heard of groups.drupal.org? Okay. We use organic groups, and we actually put a group audience on our rules. So our groups can actually set up their own payment gateways, and every group has its own store, and Commerce says, oh, you're buying something from this group. Well, here are the payment gateways they have available to them. So it's really powerful what you can do there. It's not just, oh, this payment gateway is for your entire site. You can really target who can use the payment gateways. You might do like the pricing rule I was talking about. You might find a payment gateway that does really well, has a percentage only fee, and does really well for like microtransactions. So you want to use them for transactions under $10 or $1. And then you might have a flat rate or something better for over $10. So that's another reason you might want to do it. If I refresh this, oh, it is refreshing. And now I have 2 payment gateways, and the credit card will load with Ajax, and I'll just go ahead and check out. Actually, was that giving me some? Yeah. Oh, no, no. Don't want you guys coming to my house. Sorry. Sheesh. I have a garage.
So they don't have the checkbox on it?
Okay, there is, if you get the later version, or if you use Commerce Address Book, I believe it's Commerce Address Book, there is a checkbox to copy your billing, or yeah, your billing to your shipping information. Commerce Kickstart doesn't have that. I'm pretty sure Commerce Kickstart 2 will have that. And everyone's favorite credit card number.
Uh, 15-1.
15 ones and a 4. But not in that order. Sorry. All right, any questions?
As far as supporting, so this is the first time anonymous person, you don't know they bought something.
Mhm.
You want them to come back and you want to remember all this stuff,
Mhm.
some of this stuff.
By default, I believe, there will be an email field in checkout, which will add their email address to the order. You can also use rules to make them create an account. I don't remember if Commerce Kickstart has that rule by default. There's a million different workflows you could do there. You could have, sign in with Facebook or something like that. The OAuth module also has rules to integrate with those sorts of things, but there's a lot of flexibility there. I think the lowest common denominator is you can just have a email field, and then all your orders will have an email field on them. And then they'll actually get an email, and I'm trying to remember. I don't remember how to set it up, but there is a way to set it up where if they just put in their email address, you can actually send them account credentials, and they can choose to verify their account or not.
And then there's this funky customer profile thing that they could get past orders if you right from you.
Yeah, so a customer profile would be stored in like Commerce Address Book. Are you talking about like your profile for shipping and your past orders and that sort of stuff?
Past orders, so you
Yeah.
You just use regular people accounts, user accounts in Drupal.
Correct. And then under their user UID path, you would put a view with a list of their orders in it, for example.
And that's coming out of the customer profile.
Yeah, so you're just looking at all the orders with that customer ID on it.
Are there additional settings that allows you to send confirmation email?
Confirmation email, that's a great question. Actually, confirmation emails, may not surprise you, are rules. Just about every action or trigger or different, or even requirements, you can even do crazy things like loop over the items in a cart with a rule. You can get really complex with rules, but rules to send your users emails, rules to send yourself or your fulfillment guy emails. Yeah, you
When the checkout is complete, what sort of event triggers sending the confirmation?
Sure.
Like built into it?
Well, here I can show you all the possible ones if I go to the main rules configuration. So Commerce has a bunch of kind of targeted pages that are actually just places to set up rules. But you can go to the main rules configuration, and you can see if you add a new rule, you can see react on event, and you have all these commerce events. Calculate the shipping quote for a line item. Select available shipping methods for an order. After adding a product to a cart, after removing a product to a cart, before adding a product to cart.
So yours would be
Completing the checkout process would probably be you, yeah. I mean, you can see there's, I don't even know why I started reading those. You have a lot of triggers. And then once you pick a trigger, that will define what data comes in from that trigger. And there will also be filters you can put on the data. And then you will also have actions you can perform after that. Sir?
Best practice suggestions on how to avoid having a rat's nest of new rules, talking to the customer and just getting just a mess, as opposed to if it's in code, it's nicely, hopefully documented.
Yeah.
Exporting.
Well, we export them to features.
Oh.
Rules can be exported to features. That's how we handle them. Our development processes, we don't manipulate our live servers. So all our developers have sandboxes. We come up with a rule we want to have out on the live server. We can build it in the UI and then go to features and say, I want to add this rule to features, save it to code, put it in Git, and then that gets built and put out to our live server next time we release. So that's how we keep that organized. There's not a great way to document features by hand, but rules have a description field. Most things you can put into features have a description field, so that's actually a self-documenting way of doing it. Yeah, just being careful with how you name things and trying to reuse things when possible instead of making a different rule for each slight tweak. That's the only suggestions I really have.
So how well does commerce in general play with features?
How well does commerce play with features?
Commerce is mostly just using other entities.
Yeah, so commerce itself doesn't actually, I don't even know if commerce defines any features exports. It doesn't need to. You use entities, you use rules, you use views, you use panels. All those things define the exports. Yeah.
Earlier you said something about products being nodes.
Products are not nodes. Commerce products are entities. And then if you want, the default workflow is to have a product entity, and then you can create a display node, and that is how you would display a product or an aggregation of products to your users. So that's how I did the car.
If your products are, let's say, audio files or video files, and you have nodes for those kind of data,
Uh-huh.
so they're sitting in your node table or
Uh-huh.
references in the node table to those kind of files. But then you want to sell those through your commerce.
Oh, so the question is, you want to sell files, basically.
Yes, digital assets.
Yeah, it's not built in, but there is a module for selling content and files, access to files, basically. So that hooks into the Drupal 7 private file system and ties that in with commerce. So basically says, when someone buys this product, they get access to this file or the files on this node.
That was my question, access. So that's when it gets a little, not so standard like what you just presented.
Right.
So you have the file and then there's the access level. As soon as the payment goes through,
Correct.
then a user or customer gets privileged access.
Yeah, and I honestly haven't set that up. I've only read briefly about it, but I believe it's similar. You set a trigger which usually is just payment completed or order completed, and then you get access to that file.
So that's not through the standard commerce model?
No, that's not built into Commerce, but it's a module on Drupal.org.
Any idea what it's called?
No, but I will let Alan Google it.
I'll find it.
This is a product, if you understood, this is a product display node. Every permutation of these radio buttons is a different product. Does that make sense?
I guess along the same theme, would a different module be needed to sell access to content on a website, a secured access?
Yeah, so the question is, would a different module be needed to sell access to content? I think it's, I honestly don't know. I think it's the same module though.
That was my question.
What was the name of the module?
I don't know.
Alan is Googling it for us presently. If you watch some of the talks by Ryan, he mentions it.
I mean, what would you look up? What's the
Commerce files, commerce assets, commerce.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now, and
You might
I'm
want
trying
to
to
add
find
Drupal
it.
there.
Uh,
Drupal Commerce file.
sell files.
Commerce.
Commerce file. Sell file access. All right.
Your Drupal skills are leaders.
So it sounds like this one's targeted to files. I don't know. What's that? Sell content. Drupal Commerce Sell. Should I say node? We'll try content first. Content. Selling content with Drupal Commerce and content access and roles. Oh, that's interesting. This looks like they're kind of rolling their own with content access and rules, which makes a lot of sense. So they're using content access to create an ACL, and then they're using rules to grant a role that has the ACL to look at different things.
Which
That's
I would prefer that over installing in other modules, because you can just do it by just configuring Drupal.
Isn't that going to be blanket access?
that. Right, that's exactly right. Unless there's an ACL that would do it by something other than roles, unless there's a way to grant access to individual nodes with content access, I don't know that there is. This would be this right. Yeah, this would be like a video site where you get access to everything or a certain group of things. Any other questions? All right. I think that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. First of all, thank you, and we'll give you one of our brand new level 10.
Oh.
Nice, huh? The only way you get these is to present up here.